Welcome back to Match Day Live. I'm Natalie Pike, still joined by the guests in the studio. We're going to be getting their thoughts now about an exciting first half, an enjoyable first half, a slightly frustrating first half. Statistically, City had 74% of the possession, 14 shots, 4 of them on target. But Palace had some chances as well. So, Andy, what did you make of that first half?
I thought it followed a pattern that we expected. They were going to make it difficult. They've pressed really well, Palace, and we've got to give them credit. I mean, I look at it from 2 points of view. First of all, I think I've seen enough in that first half to know that they're going to tire and we're going to wear them down. And opportunities will come, but also the threat that they have in the counter-attack. And, I think you've got to give credit to Crystal Palace for the game plan up to now. But them distances and how hard they're working. City are moving the ball. You said 74% possession. There's going to be a byproduct of that. The byproduct is they're going to tire eventually. You can't maintain that unless he makes substitutions or changes shape. So as the game goes on, it'll begin to stretch and more opportunities will come. There's been enough there in that first half to know that we're going to get opportunities in the second half.
Yeah, Palace have certainly put up a fight, Shaun, but as Andy said, they were starting to look more and more stretched as the half went on.
Yes, in particular, I'm looking at Gallagher, who I think is very key for them because they sort of go from in a mid-block of 4-5-1, but he's the one that steps forward to sort of set that press or does a pivot press, if you like, with the centre forward. The centre forward will go to one of our centre backs, and then Gallagher would then go on Rodri, and then Gallagher would then go on the other centre back, and the striker will go on to Rodri. So they're doing sort of this pivot press, but then when it's deeper, Gallagher's in making a 5. And what I saw, certainly the last 5-7 minutes of that half, Gallagher's looking around and thinking, oh, I've got to get across there. So you can see there's a bit of fatigue starting to come. So, he's going to be really important because I don't think he's going to be able to keep that up. And he is a fit lad, but not only him, they're front players in terms of how they press. And if we keep moving the ball at the tempo that we did, I think this is where we'll start to find the gaps and then to be able to exploit it.
Palace didn't have any shots on target in the first half, but they did have chances, Andy. I started to make notes about all the chances, but there was quite a few. I've got 13, 14, 15, 19, 20, 26, 27, 32, because in that period, it did feel end-to-end, but we had definitely the bigger, better chances.
Yeah, we had the clearer. We created. Theirs came from our mistakes. There's a couple of times we stumbled to get. Laporte, Stones, Walker, just getting intercepted, and that's down to their press. Give them credit for that. And they're coming on the back of our mistakes where we've created better opportunities, but it's going to be hard for them to maintain that. And what they're doing is that when a team get it right, like they are at the minute, they're not only pressing, they're also stopping passing lines. Now, that's a lot of work. So eventually they're going to press, but they won't be able to get into line. If you look at Conor Gallagher, he's actually looking over his shoulder all the time to look where the 2-8s are, who are trying to get onto the blind side of the Palace players. So he's trying to stop that passing line. Eventually he's going to tire out, and then they'll start finding De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva just in between the centre half and the midfield. That'll come, but they're doing so well to cut that off. The best I've seen this season as a collective of 11 players nullifying City, but it's hard to maintain.
You mentioned De Bruyne and Silva there. The first big chance of the game, probably the best chance for City of the game, Shaun, came in the 14th minute. Kevin De Bruyne had the chance. It comes out to Bernardo Silva, and you would pretty much think 99 times out of 100 he's going to tap that in. Yes,
I do. And I think it's an instinctive decision. It's one of those, he thinks, if I have this cute touch, I can roll into the empty goal. But it needs a near perfect touch. And his touch is... Well, it ends up looking bad or being bad because he only has probably 3 yards. While he's running full speed, he only needs to roll that ball 3 yards to his left to then slot it into the goal. But his touch has just been too strong. So it's one of those decisions. Another time he could come onto it and then just side foot it, and you can be lucky that it hits the keeper but still goes in. And I think he's thinking, the keeper's there, it may hit him and the keeper may save it. So he's trying to be 100% certain in that situation. So it's just a split decision that, again, and also with the touch. So a little disappointing there.
Next kind of big chance, Andy, Kevin De Bruyne again. On the kind of outside right of his foot, he makes a kind of... You're like, wow, he's gone for that. And it's a shot, but of course he doesn't score. But it's an incredible physicality, the way he makes the shot, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it was a great passage of play. I mean, Cancelo, who does it so well, his array of passing with the outside of his right foot, but this time he steps inside and the weight of the ball floated and felt perfectly. Great movement from De Bruyne, and it is instinctive. You're just trying to make contact on it and hope that you might find that far corner, and it become it was quite comfy save for the keeper, but a fabulous bit of play from Cancelo again, who does look the most productive, of the fullbacks, and when he comes inside, he makes things happen. And as the game goes on, he should be able to affect it more.
Well, he's one of those players, we spoke about it before the game, where he pops up into this sort of number 10 position, and he has the quality to thread the sort of through balls, which that one there to De Bruyne, who goes with the outside of his foot. And he also had one of those, it was a lethal shot where he pops up into that area. And I sort of was like, wow. And I don't know why I'm saying wow, because I've come to expect it from him at the same time. He does. He comes in, he gives himself options, passing lanes to pass through, but also the ability to have shots as well.
Yeah, he's had the most passes, the most attempted passes, the most tackles. He's always up there statistically. And it was a minute after that Kevin De Bruyne shot when he had a chance where he hit the post. The ball comes back out to Laporte, Andy, and it was another groaning moment. Although I groaned, but then you said, Shaun, perhaps we need to give him a bit of slack.
Yeah, I think sometimes a ball could come back and we just think the goal's open. And therefore, we just think it should be a goal. But sometimes, as you're running in, you don't have the chance to adjust your feet perfectly, as in to sort of steady yourself and then side-foot it, because it comes back that quickly. What I think he should have done in hindsight was had a touch, because that would allow him to steady himself to then knock it into the goal. But because it's come real quick, he knows the goal's open, but he just can't sort his feet out quick enough to get over it and direct it goalwards.
And then towards the end of the half, Andy, Riyad Mahrez has two good chances. One that goes straight at the keeper, and then one just at the end of the second half that is kind of inches past the corner as well. So he was really getting into the game as the half went on. Yeah,
definitely. And it was a great anticipation. They tried to stretch him in behind the centre half and nodded the ball down into that danger zone. He's on the move, comes off Mitchell, takes a great first touch, steps across, and then he has got the ability to actually pass that into the net, because the keeper was actually, weight was on the wrong side. So he'll probably be disappointed that he didn't hit the target, because that was a really good opportunity, pass the ball into the net. But again, we've seen enough opportunities. And, the Cancelo shot has come from a corner. It's another thing that City do. They move it to try and get shots from them areas. And, if Laporte tries to take a touch and then somebody nicks it off him, because he has no awareness of what's around him. So if he takes that touch, we're all saying just put it into an empty net, but it's coming back that fast. But I'm more positive now, believe it or not, than I was before the game, because of the way we've opened them up, and we've got another level to go, definitely in the second half.
I agree, yeah.
Well, here's what I say: champions find a way. That's what I would say. Champions find a way.
Love that, Shaun. Love that. Now, we're going to have a look at whose stat. You've had one clue so far. I'll give you that again. Then I'm going to give you two more clues to see if you can work out who the current or former Manchester City player is. So the clue that you've already had is this player is a Champions League winner. Clue 2. This player has been sent off once in his Premier League career, coincidentally, for a foul on Carlos Tevez. Interesting. Okay, and then clue 3. This player has a 100% clean sheet record this season. So send in your tweets. Use the hashtag #ManCity. Don't say who you think it is, gents, but have you got a better idea now?
I haven't got a clue.
Haven't got a clue. I think the audience will have a better chance, though.
Yeah.
I think I know. I think I got it on the first one today. I really struggled last week in the derby, if you recall. I couldn't get it, but today I think I may have it. So we've got a couple more minutes now until the second half begins. Andy, what changes, if any, do you want to see in the second half?
Well, Pep rarely makes half-time substitutions, unless somebody's injured or fatigued. But I'd like to see Raheem Sterling come on in whatever position, whatever he feels, whether it's on the right or the left. And Gundogan eventually, I think, will play a part in the game. But there's going to be openness in the second half, but that's both ways, because the more open we become, it allows us then to be countered, because it's just the way we play. The energy goes so quick that it leaves us open the other way.
Shaun, what sort of second half are you expecting?
Again, I think it's going to be close. But I would agree in terms of subs. These players are the ones that could come on and change things. Again, I'd like to see Foden hasn't been involved in the game as much as we like, and that's because it's credit to Crystal Palace, because they're making it really narrow, really tight. Finding his pockets are difficult. But as I said, champions find a way, and City will find a way.
Are you sticking with your 1-0 pre-match prediction?
I am. I'm sticking with it. I believe we're going to come good and come true, but it is going to be tough, yeah.
Andy, are you sticking with your 2-0 pre-match
Yeah, I think we will. If we get the first, whether it's 5 or 6 minutes left, Palace will have a real go to try and get back into it, and I think we could get the second. So I'm sticking with my 2-0.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much to Andy. Thank you very much to Shaun. We will be back here at full time straight away on the whistle to give you analysis of whatever happens in the second half. And as always, hopefully we will be talking about it. At least a couple. I'll take one right now. One Manchester City goal and hopefully a clean sheet. But we will be right back at full time to do all that important talking. Between now and then, we're going to be handing over to the wonderful Alistair Mann and Michael Brown, who are your commentary team today at Selhurst Park for the second half, Manchester City versus Crystal Palace. Over to you, Ali.
Thank you, Natalie. Yes, let's hope that we can describe a goal for you in the second half. There is no sign of the players just at the moment, so an opportunity to remind you of a statistic that's probably worth bearing in mind, and that is that Crystal Palace haven't won a home game in 2022. Indeed, they've lost 3 of the 4 games they